In one of the distant worlds, where magic and dark forces intertwined in a constant struggle, lived a demonic princess named Liliss. She was the heiress of an ancient line of demon lords whose power was so great that even the heavens themselves feared their wrath. Liliss differed from her ancestors not only in strength, but also in the kindness that hid deep in her heart. She could destroy entire cities with one sweep of her wings, and her gaze could turn even the strongest warriors to stone. However, she never used her power without reason. One day, while traveling through the ruined lands, Liliss met a young man named Kai, whose family had been wiped out by dark forces. He was lonely and hated by the world, but, despite this, he kept in himself an indescribable devotion and kindness. Kai was the first to see in Liliss not a cruel ruler, but a wounded soul looking for her place in the world. Their destinies intertwined, and over time Liliss began to understand that her true purpose is not to destroy, but to protect this world from the darkness that grows every day. Together they challenged the most powerful forces of evil that sought to take over the world. Liliss, with her immense strength and Kai's support, began to shift the balance of power, protecting the people she once despised. But the most important battle is still ahead, the battle for her own soul, which is constantly on the border between light and darkness. Their story became a legend, and the name Liliss remained in the memory of those who believed in the possibility of salvation for even the darkest soul. However, despite the changes in Liliss's heart, her inner demons did not leave her. The dark power that lived in her blood tried to take over again. Every night she felt the presence of ancient demons, who whispered to her to return to her true nature, to become what the world saw her as, a ruthless mistress of destruction. Kai saw Liliss struggle with this inner darkness. His faith in her was unwavering, but every day her struggle became more difficult. One day while traveling through the ruined lands, they encountered an old enemy of Liliss, a demon named Noxer. He was one of those who wished to destroy the human world and enslave its inhabitants. Noxer could not allow Liliss to go to the side of the light. He knew that her power could change the fate of this world, and so he decided to exploit her weakest point, her doubts. In a duel with him, Liliss first felt fear not for herself, but for Kai, who was standing next to her, ready to protect her even at the cost of his own life. "Liliss, you cannot run from your essence," Noxer said mockingly. "You were born to rule and destroy, not to save miserable people. Leave these weak creatures and return to what you have always been, the Queen of Darkness." Noxer's words cut Liliss to the core. She could feel the darkness inside her come to life. But when she looked at Kai, who stood steadfastly by her side, his eyes radiated confidence and hope. He never believed in her dark side. For him, she was a light that could destroy even the darkest darkness. Liliss felt something new begin to arise in her heart, something stronger than any spells and powers. It was love, pure and sincere, which grew against all dark forces. In that moment she made a choice. With a huge burst of energy, Liliss was able to free herself from the shackles of darkness that had bound her soul for years. Her wings glowed with a bright light, and her demonic features momentarily dissolved in the rays of her new power. She threw herself into battle with Noxer, and their clash shook the whole world. Noxer did not expect such a change. He realized he couldn't manipulate Liliss anymore, but that didn't stop him. The battle between them continued for days and nights, until at the last moment Liliss unleashed her true power, the power of love and light, which completely destroyed Noxer. After the victory, Liliss, exhausted, fell into Kai's arms. Her power would never be the same again, but now she knew that true power was not to destroy, but to protect those she loved. And although their journey was just beginning, Liliss and Kai knew that together they could overcome any dark forces that stood in their way. After defeating Noxer, Liliss and Kai were momentarily relieved, but knew their adventures were just beginning. The world, destroyed by dark forces, needed not only restoration, but also a new leader capable of protecting it from future threats. Liliss could no longer ignore her heritage. Her power, though freed from the darkness, remained immense. Now she had to use it not for destruction, but for creation and protection. But that meant one thing. She had to return to her throne. become queen not only of demons, but of all who needed help in this divided world. However, returning to the demon realm was not so easy. The old demons, who had long since lost faith in Liliss, did not want her back. They united under a new leader, Liliss, an ancient general of Noxer who aspired to become the new demon lord. Liliss and Kai traveled to the demon kingdom, where they were greeted with suspicion and hostility. Liliss confronted Liliss, challenging her. "You are no longer one of us," he said. "You chose the side of weak people. But this world needs the power and rule of an iron hand, not weak mercy." "You don't understand, Liliss replied, her voice sounding confident and commanding. "I have not abandoned our people. I will protect them from you and people like you." Power does not lie in destruction, but in the ability to create and protect. If you cannot understand this, then you are not worthy to be our leader. A battle between Liliss and Liliss was inevitable. Liliss summoned the most powerful dark magical forces to defeat Liliss, but she was no longer what she once was. Her power now came not only from her demonic heritage, but also from the light that Kai had helped her discover within herself. Meanwhile, Kai decided to find a way to help Liliss in this decisive battle. He went in search of ancient artifacts that could give her additional power. On his journey, he met a mysterious being named Iria, the keeper of ancient knowledge. She told him about an amulet that could amplify Liliss's inner light, making her virtually invincible. "But remember," warned Iria, "the amulet also strengthens the darkness, if even a drop of evil still remains in the wearer's heart. Liliss must fully embrace her new self." Kai returned to Liliss in the midst of the battle with Liliss. He tossed the amulet to her, and as she felt its power, Liliss glowed more brightly than ever before. Her wings radiated dazzling light, and she herself became the embodiment of harmony between darkness and light. Liliss, blinded by her radiance, realized what he had lost. His dark spells disintegrated and he fell to his knees before the new queen. "You have won, Liliss," he whispered, "but remember that there is always a bit of darkness in the heart of every demon. And you are no exception." Liliss silently approached Liliss, but instead of destroying him, she said, "You are right. But we ourselves decide what to do with this darkness. I choose light." From that day on, Liliss rules his kingdom not with an iron hand, but with wisdom and justice. Together with Kai, they have become a symbol of hope for all who believe that even in the darkest times a path to light can be found. Their journey continues, because the darkness will never completely disappear. But Liliss knows that now she has the power to protect those she loves, and she won't allow anyone to plunge the world into darkness again.